Comwell, yeah. What do you do, Comwell?
We provide the corporate training.
Corporate training, okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Right. Thanks for coming in.
Yeah, welcome.
You're friends now? Thanks for coming to our training.
Yeah.
All right. So everyone, are you here now? If you are, please type at the chat box. There is a chat box at the bottom. Tell us where you're from, which company, and also your name, and what kind of industry or what kind of business you're in. At least we have a reference of who is in, so that we can refer to your business more precisely. Good morning. This is Sue Boy from iTraining Expert. Together with me, I have Shahrukh Moghal, the legendary Shahrukh. And my team here, Ira is here. I think Ayuni is also here. And all of you, thank you for coming in. We will start in a couple of minutes. Today, we have a very interesting topic, which is called telesales, telephone sales, evergreen, which is really, really useful as well. Yeah, we use the telephone more than ever now, and this skills is always needed. And thanks for coming in, because you will be learning great things. Erica, good morning from CMT Events. Danny says morning, and Peter says good morning. Let us know your name and which industry you're from, what company you're from. We will make it as interactive as possible. We have 100+ people who are logging in. So these people who are early, that will be excellent. We can start chatting with you first, so that you let us know what industry you're in and what kind of challenges you have. That will be great.
I have a question. I just noticed Erica Pareso from CMT Events. Erica, are you attending this while you are in Philippines?
Oh yes, actually I'm with
bila dah sign up, nanti dia akan masuk email.
My team. I'm just waiting for them to log in as well. We are all working from home right now, and we're here in Manila, in the Philippines.
In Manila, okay. All right. So the CMT Events is just basically an event marketing company?
Yes, it's actually based in Singapore, but we're catering all over the world. So we're kind of like doing more trainings now while we are working from home.
So you're also a training provider?
Yes.
Okay. So I remember you guys registered like 14 or 15 people to attend this.
Yes, yes.
Okay. All right. Very last minute. I think I saw your registration yesterday.
Oh, actually, it was like Sunday, and we thought the webinar is actually yesterday. And then, yeah. So we got a notification last night that it's actually today.
Oh, okay. All right.
So welcome, Erica and your team. Welcome to
Thank you.
iTraining CMT event, is it? All right.
Yeah.
Peter Chang from Citos. Good morning, Citos Sabah. How are you, Peter? All right, Peter says he's good.
Peter says, good I am. Like Yoda in Star Trek. Good I am.
We have Wong, Phoebe Wong, Abby Wong from Renault. Good morning again, Renault. Salatai. Peter Chang says Salatai, la boss.
Yeah.
We have our friends from Philippines. Thank you for logging in. We have friends from Sabah. We have friends from KL, I suppose. Familiar faces. Okay. If you're not familiar with the chat box at the bottom, please feel free to go ahead, type something, say hello to everyone, and also what business you're in. And let us know a little bit about your company and what you do now. Things have changed a little bit. This is called a new norm. This is how we meet, we train, and we socialize, right?
We socialize and we wear half nice clothes. In this
There
one,
was
it's
a picture. There was
very
a picture,
convenient.
right? There was a picture that says everybody is suit up, and then they forgot to wear the bottom.
That's right.
They went to work.
or wearing shorts or sweatpants, and then on top you got the Ralph Lauren shirt and the tie. um, well, this is very convenient, you know. I mean, when I go and conduct training for out there in hotels or whatever, I mean, you know, you have to have everything in perfect. But in this case, not necessary. As long as upper body looks good enough. Huda
We have
property.
more people coming in. Darshini from Renault. Can you see, Shahrukh?
Yeah, good morning. This is Darshini. Good morning, Darshini.
We have Hakimi as well from Renault. Thank you guys for coming in. We have Hafizi from Huda Property. They all came in. Excellent. Yeah. Zunaira from Renault. Zuraida.
Zunaira, and then we got Felicia.
Yeah. Thanks for coming in. How's the business? What's the condition? What's the situation?
Just a quick one in terms of my friends from Renault, Malaysia. So when your objective of attending a telephone sales training program, can one of you tell me what objective would you have for? Are you going to call people to do like a test drive and give them something complimentary like a gift, or I mean, are you going to make phone calls to generate leads, or how? What is the reason why you would want to attend a telesales program, a webinar? This question is for people from Renault.
Hi, I'm Abby from Renault. The purpose I'm calling in, we join in this webinar is because mainly currently we are doing everything through phones. So basically we call people for test drive. Also we call people, we got the leads from online base, and then we need to convince them to subscribe our program. So also we will call them to make payment. So it's a department that we engage with people through phones. So we think that this is quite useful for us to join in this program today. So this is why we get our team go in. Unfortunately, Aisha has something tied on, so she unable to join in for this session.
Oh man, we're gonna miss Aisha because she just types away. The chat box is moving.
Yeah, but she's because change of time, right? So she unable to make it.
You know, okay, your name is Felicia, right?
My name is Abby.
Abby, sorry.
Yeah.
You know, Abby, I have trained, this objective that you just mentioned. I trained Honda Malaysia, Mitsubishi. Yeah, Honda Malaysia and Mitsubishi, these two, on the same objective, where I showed them how to, because they had this promotion, they wanted to invite people for test drives, and then they were offering a free gift, so on. So we did a one full day session for those guys. Actual training, because this webinar is more of an awareness session. So we did an actual training program for both of them, actually, Mitsubishi also and Honda also. And they actually increased the number of people who came in for test drives. And that's what you normally want, because the more leads you have, the more chances you have to sell. So it was very successful. Maybe after this, my partner Sue can have a separate discussion with you to see, you go a little bit in more detail as to what you guys are looking at. I remember Honda and Mitsubishi, they were very happy with me. Because they were just calling people and saying, hey, would you like to come and test drive our car? And people kept saying, no, thank you, no, thank you. So I showed them a couple of ways to really convince these guys to come. So it just happened. And then, those days I also used to own my own contact center. I think this was like, almost eight years ago. So, then after that, they even outsourced this process to my call center. So I had like 13 people making phone calls, inviting people to attend, to test drive these Honda cars.
Oh,
So
okay.
tons of experience with this car dealership. Honda, I think I trained them for a total of, I think, 8 years in a row, various departments. But anyway, yeah, let's talk further later
Yeah,
about
great.
your specific
So
requirement.
maybe Sue can reach us later on. So
Yes,
once what I know this is more on the awareness. If
right.
like if we see it's suitable, then once we discuss with Sue, then we can propose to my boss on this.
Yeah. It will help. I mean, it has helped people before. There are, success stories. So let's see.
Okay,
Anyway,
can.
our objective
Great.
today is to basically create this awareness,
Yeah.
awareness of what is required. Of course, I will go into my formal talk once I get the go-ahead that we have enough people, all the people are here, so I can start. But just on general dialogue, general terms, this, um, using the phone to generate revenue. I mean, this is actually, telesales is actually a billion-dollar industry all over the world. And some consumer organizations, they have policies against telemarketers, and because telemarketers back in history, they were not very careful. They were calling people at the wrong times. They were pushing people to buy products. So that just created a really bad reputation globally. So the word telemarketer now in Hollywood movies, the word telemarketer is almost like somebody who's like a thief or something. But then as we decided to create further awareness and taught people to be more consultative in their approach instead of calling people in the wrong times and pushing products. So now telemarketing is coming back as a really solid, viable tool to generate leads. Generating leads, it's a very effective tool for generating leads also. Of course, I've trained tons of banks and insurance companies because they got all these consumer related products, and it just makes it easy for them to sell better if they really know how to do it. A lot of people hate making telephone calls and trying to sell products because they actually don't know how to do it. So they keep getting banged by the customers. If I call you and say, hey, do you want to buy my product? You'll definitely say no, unless I give you a reason to want to listen to me. So these are the things that, that create a lot of difference. Anyway, I'll shut up. I'll wait until everybody's here then, because once I start talking, I need somebody to whip me to shut up.
Okay, thank you, Shahrukh. I think in a couple of like 1 more minute, we will actually start. So
All right.
the objective of telesales that we have today is really good, especially in times of needs like that. You want to keep your business going, you want to set your new goals. Telephone is one of the key things that you can connect with the people around the world. You can also do it on the teleconferencing and also on the internet. So talking skills, speaking skills is still very much needed skills that everybody should have. And today, Shahrukh is going to share all his 25 years of experience in an hour. And I hope you can pick up as much as you can and ask as many questions as you can to Shahrukh, because he is the guy when it comes to contact center, when it comes to telephone sales, when it comes to talking on the phone, and how is it that you can get what you want from the phone. That is the guy. There's no other guy, only Shahrukh, because he has trained thousands and thousands of people around the world, and a lot of corporate companies have used him specifically for many years as their private consultant. And people who have engaged him to do tele-debt even has collected more than 20% of their debts out of the investment that they do. And
increased by 20%.
Eh?
Increased the collections by 20%, which is even better.
Yeah, rather than going into bad debts and going into lawsuits and things like that. So this is a very important skills. I hope you will benefit heaps. That's why we're opening up this as part of the give back to the community and the business people and the employees and our clients who have already supported us and have been supporting us for the past 20 years. So Shahrukh, I think we can start now.
All right.
Yeah,
I was just looking at from Jennifer Karandas. I think she's talking to one of her colleagues here. And the moment I saw, hey, my handsome boy, I'm thinking, what? Then I realized she's talking to somebody else inside the conversation. All right. Hello, everyone.
No, he's referring to you, Shahrukh.
No. She's talking to somebody else. Okay. Good morning, everyone. Well, it would have been great if it was me, but you know what to do. Good morning. My name is Shahrukh Moghal. I guess you guys can see the spelling of my name there. I have actually, just a quick introduction. I was born and raised in Pakistan. Until I was 18 years old, I was in Pakistan. I'm a sportsman. I was a hockey player. I was selected for the country's hockey team also. Couldn't play because, I'm a Malaysian citizen. So, I went until the point where they selected me, but then I had to refuse. My parents sent me over to the United States when I was 18 to study. So I did my communication thing there. And after I did that, after I was done with university, I, spent a couple of years just to relax and have a great time and just, basically, enjoying, bars and rock and roll and everything like that. Then 2 years later, I started getting into some businesses. And back in 1990, I started my very first job, actual, job for somebody else, which was actually selling products over the phone. My very first experience with telesales.
Can you invite me, sorry?
Okay, I think somebody needs to mute their...
Service center. Oh yeah, we actually direct.
All right. So it was a telesales job. I've been basically in this industry more than 25 years. 25 years is just in Malaysia. And then another 4 to 5 years before that, where my most experiences came. Our sales target in my first telesales job was 12 sales a week. And there was no salary. It was a straight commission job. So if my sale canceled, they would take the commission they paid me. Even that used to be deducted from our next paycheck. Well, sales target was 12. I was doing 24, 25, sometimes 30 sales a week. So sometimes doubling, sometimes tripling the target. So with that, they promoted me after 3 months and made me a team leader. So I had about 20 people under me as a team leader. So over the next 6 months, my team started performing and they went up to the top of the contact center. If any of you have ever worked in a contact center, you might know that they have these boards on the wall that show the top performers and the number 2 performer and so on. So for 3 months, I was on top. Then the next 6 months, as a team leader, my team was on top. So what they did was, at the end of the 9th month total, they made me an internal trainer. So since then, until today, approximately 29 odd years, I've been conducting training on selling products through the phone and collecting debt over the phone, and of course, customer care. In Malaysia, over the number of years, I have actually trained on this telesales and debt collection. Google, Malaysia, Alibaba.com, 9 out of the 10 local Malaysian banks, and approximately, I think 6 or 7 insurance companies. So all of them I have trained on telephone sales. Okay, just a little bit of objective of this particular training program. I feel that because of this COVID-19, a lot of us, and of course, even through the discussion that we were having with a few people just now, we feel that, we cannot go out there and meet our clients and make sales, or maybe stand in front of like a panel and conduct our presentations. So since we're not able to do that, telephone then becomes the best tool to actually do that, to reach our clients and try to generate leads or close sales. And, in my case, I don't feel any difference in terms of my business before or after the lockdown. Simply because ever since I can remember, I've been using the phone. And then when email started, I started using email. So, making phone calls, sending emails, making another phone call, closing the sale. So the same thing has been happening during the lockdown. So I haven't felt much difference. But yes, most organizations don't really use the phone to generate revenue. So because of that reason, this has become an issue. People are going through the financial issues. Hence, this particular webinar, to create awareness of the fact that telephone is a very solid tool, which will help you generate revenue. And of course, in some cases, in accounts receivables, you can collect your debt. The thing that we really want to think about here is the fact that we need to ask ourselves some questions. Like, I would like for you guys to stay with me. If any of the following statements or questions are true for you. So I'm going to ask my first question, or the first statement. Let me move the chat box out of the way. Okay. So the first question is, are your sales low because you cannot physically meet clients? So if you feel that your sales are low because of this particular reason, then you're not able to meet the clients, then I suggest you stay with me and see what we have to talk about here. Then if you don't have any new sales leads, you're feeling, worried and stressed and feeling stagnant, and, you're just working with the same people that bought from you before, and you're just trying to call them again and again, and you don't have any new leads, any new people to sell to, or new companies that could become your clients. If you don't have that and you're worried about this, then of course, I would like for you to stay with me. Then if you're wondering how to process your leads coming through social media marketing efforts, a lot of people, generate leads through social media. So you've got Facebook and, some of the other ones, LinkedIn and, Twitter and all of those. So a lot of times when those leads come in, you would respond to those leads through the laptop or through your phone. Yeah, our product price is so and so. But the problem is that particular process, when you receive the lead and you respond to them just through that same media, then the response rate is very low. So if you are worried that your social media efforts are, in terms of percentages, they are not really providing you with the kinds of revenue that you're looking for or kinds of sales you're looking for, then of course, please stay with me, because I will show you that once you receive your lead from social media, you need to actually pick up the phone and call these people. And that's where you have more control over the call and you can make the sale. Because when we respond through our Facebook Messenger, to their request, they will just take their sweet old time, and 99% of the time they don't respond. But at least with the phone call, you have control of the conversation. So if you feel that that is an issue, you've got social media marketing going on, but you're still not able to convert them into sales, please stay with me. I'll show you how to do that. And then if you need to, of course, obviously this particular one, you need to close more sales or need to close, generate more leads. And also, if you feel that convincing people over the phone is something that you have an issue with, like a lot of times people, face to face, it's a bit different, because face to face you can have, use your body language and your eye contact and, things of the expressions. But here it's all voice. So if you feel that you're not able to convince people, or you want to learn how to convince people through the phone, through your voice, please stay with me. And of course, I'll be showing you in this webinar the required skills and capabilities so that we can use them, implement them, and get into generating leads and making sales now. All right, very quickly, before we go further, I'd like to create an understanding, a consensus of the difference between telemarketing and telesales. I'm going to open this the chat box up now. I'd like to ask you guys, whoever has an answer, can anybody tell me what is the difference between telemarketing and telesales? I'll give it about a minute. You guys can go ahead and type into the chat box to reply. In your opinion, what is the difference between telemarketing and telesales? Waiting for your answers. Okay, I guess I don't have any response. Okay, Nor Elena mentioned telemarketing is generate interest, telesales is generate income. Oh, absolutely, absolutely. You're absolutely right. Absolutely. Everybody give her a hand. While you're sitting in front of your computer, just start clapping. All right. Generate leads versus conversion of sales. She, yes, absolutely. Generating leads versus conversion of sales. Basically, you're right. The two answers that I've got. Telemarketing is more of a general, shall we say, label. And under the general label of telemarketing, okay, telemarketing more to branding, City Rosia. Telemarketing more to branding, telesales to sell products. Absolutely, wonderful. Okay, guys, now you can stop sending me the answers to this question. I'll go ahead and move forward. Now, in my opinion, over the, because of the number of years I have invested in this industry, I have some of my opinions, and let's see if we are on the same page on this. So, telemarketing, it's actually a broader spectrum. These answers we've already got from some of you. Lead generation, appointment setting, relationship building, customer loyalty surveys, feasibility survey before product launch, debt collection or telesales, and a few other things. For example, a few years ago, I trained a business banking team in HSBC Bank. So, they're my clients, so they had a business banking team, and the objective of this team of about 24 people was not to sell any business banking related services that the bank was offering. The objective was to develop relationships. It was basically key account management. So in key account management, I went in and I spent a couple of days to conduct this training for them. And I showed them how to develop relationships. What are the steps in developing, generating, rapport. And this team, over a period of 1.5 to 2 months, the team's collective sales jumped up quite well, to the point where, of course, they asked me to come back and train another team. So ultimately, that was not telesales. It was telemarketing. It was basically generating customer loyalty. It was also generating leads and relationship building. On the other hand, telesales itself, once again, like some of you have answered my question through the chat, telesales itself has to do with taking a list of prospects, calling all of them, and trying to close the sale. In that, you will also have objections. You'll have to know how to deal with objections. You'll have to try to convince these people to buy right there over the phone. We also have to try to create pictures in these people's minds of the benefits or of how they will enjoy a certain aspect of relaxation or peace of mind or saving of money, of any kind of benefit that we have. We like to create those pictures in these people's minds. This is one of the key aspects or key elements of persuasiveness. So anyway, generating a list of prospects, dialing all the numbers, using a strategic call dialogue to control the phone call, ask questions, discuss related benefits, attempt to close the deal, handle objections, gain commitment. So all of these aspects of a telesales phone call, have to do with telesales. And this is the awareness, I'm trying to create awareness for the telesales aspect of telemarketing in this particular webinar. We will be discussing the skills and capabilities that are required in order to do that. Now, let's see how we can be persuasive with these customers. In order to be persuasive, guys, we will have to say things. Our words, our phrases, our sentences, our dialogue, the script, the things that we say to them we have to be able to create positive pictures in these people's minds. In other words, once they have a positive picture in their mind about they are already benefiting from the product that you are promoting or that you are trying to ask them to take, if they can picture benefiting from it, and also we also want to help them relive the pain that they are experiencing, which is because of which they are considering this solution that we have to provide. So our main focus in order to convince these people is to create positive and also some concerning or worrisome pictures in people's minds. This motivates them to make a decision to go with our solution. Here's what I mean. Hang on. Okay. If you notice here, these are some pictures that actually need to be created in these people's minds. If your product is reliable, if you feel that your product is reliable and that it's guaranteed that it will last a long time and people can rely on it, you actually you need to create pictures in people's minds so that they can feel or imagine the reliability of your product. If you notice this guy in the middle here, in the gray colored guy with question marks, he is your prospective customer. This is the person you're calling. And all these thought bubbles are the pictures that we are trying to create in this person's mind. If we can get this person to have this kind of pictures in their mind, we will actually bring them into some kind of a positive state, or like we can make them like a sponge who will then absorb all the knowledge of the product that we want to sell to them. Okay, so one of the pictures in their mind is basically the fact that our product is reliable. We also want to help them create a picture in their mind through which they feel that they want our solution or any solution. We want to help them relive the pain. For example, you know, if you are trying to sell a credit card to somebody, so if you're going to sell a credit card to somebody, there is one way to do it is to call that person and say, we are offering this Visa card. This is the 10,000 ringgit limit. Would you like to take the card? That's one way of doing it. Now, imagine the kind of picture that creates in the customer's mind. They are imagining taking a card from you. That's what they're imagining. However, if we were to create another picture in their mind, a picture that tells them that there are times that we are short of cash, there are times that we are out somewhere and you know, our wallet is empty, then but we still need to spend money, we still need to buy products and services. So when we don't have the cash in our pocket, how do we feel? You know, we feel a bit lost. You know, you know, if you don't have a credit card in your pocket and you also don't have cash, then you are completely broke. However, with the fact that they have the picture in their mind about the fact that if they are lost somewhere and, oh yeah, I have the card, at least I can use my card. So that's just one aspect of convenience. And yes, credit cards have many other pictures that we can create in people's minds. Depends on, you know, the features and benefits of the product. So that's just an example. We want people to relive, R-E-L-I-V-E, relive the pain that they are experiencing without the solution. So they need to be able to picture that. In other words, they need to want to ask for a solution. Then we also want to create this other picture that the quality of our product, you know, let's say our briefcase, if I'm trying to sell a leather briefcase, I will not necessarily be telling them that, you know, this is made of leather and it's stitched by the best string, because people will start picturing in their mind stitched with the string. The picture we want to give them in their mind is that even after 5 to 7 years, even 10 years later, because this is a leather bag, it's going to be with you for a long time. It will last very long. So the idea is, once again, to create that positive picture in their mind that for the next 5 to 7 years, they don't have to buy another one. And the one that they have is not going to break. So once again, it's all about creating positive or worrisome or concerning pictures in people's minds so that they should want to buy our product. If you look at the bottom right-hand corner, we also want to create this picture in their mind that they are going to be saving money. And then the money they will save, they can use for other things. And bottom left-hand corner, this is another picture we want to create in their mind, that we want them to feel the peace of mind that they would finally enjoy once they have taken our solution. And then we will create pictures of what they will be enjoying while they are enjoying our product or service. So having said that, once again, I would like to open up this chat window. You guys, I need you to give me your comments about this. In your opinion, if I was to help you create pictures in your mind and help you relive the pain you are experiencing, and at the same time help you picture the benefits picture the peace of mind and the enjoyment you would have through my product, would you feel motivated to ask some questions, or would you feel motivated to listen to me as to how I'm going to be able to help you create that peace of mind? So the question is, do you feel that if you were to learn how to do this part, you would be able to have a much more effective conversation with the customer? Do you feel that? I'm going to give it about a minute. Okay, Aisha says yes. Cheng, yes. Hafiz, Erica, Ruth, I got all these yeses. I wish I had asked some of these ladies to marry me. Can you imagine that? So many yeses. Yeah, everybody's saying yes, absolutely. It makes a lot of sense, guys. That, you know, I mean, you know, one of the biggest mistakes that salespeople actually make is to just tell people about the product and ask them whether they want it. That is actually the difference between a consultative approach versus pushing products down people's throats. So the pushing people down people's throats would be, oh yeah, please la, buy la, I need to reach my target. Please do me a favor, buy this for me this time. I only have one more sale I need to do. A lot of these telesales people are doing that. And then what happens is they create a bad impression of their own company in front of the customer. So the consultative approach is basically to ask questions, to understand their situation, to understand the fact that with empathy, we can go a lot further. Can anybody tell me what is empathy? I'd like to know whether we have a common understanding, general understanding of the word empathy. What is empathy? Once I see some of your responses, at least I will know. Otherwise, I will go into a bit of a detail about empathy first. Think in customer situation. That's correct, Aisha. Feelings, Ramesh Salvaraja. Who? Understand the customer's need. Understand feelings. Understand feelings. Ruth Derla. Understand feelings. Everybody, yes, your answers are correct. And I would say understand feelings is the answer, which this particular answer will be what helps us motivate these customers to buy our product. Putting yourself in someone's shoes, Azila, yes, absolutely. That is actually a literal meaning of the word empathy, putting myself in the customer's shoes, definitely. So now, if you imagine, if let's say looking at one of our group of participants is from a car dealership, Renault. So now imagine, yes, Vinesh, have more empathy. Okay, I will go ahead and minimize the chat box now, and I'd like to go ahead and move further. Imagine if I'm somebody who is in the market for a car, and somebody from Renault calls me, and they want, what they're doing is they're probably trying to get me to come and test drive one of their cars. So what would they need to tell me so that I'm convinced to drive from my house to Renault car dealership and from there test drive that car? So what is going to motivate me? If they tell me, I'm calling from Renault, we would like for you, invite you to come and test drive our new Renault, and then they will say the latest model name. That is one way. So the picture in the customer's mind is he's driving to Renault and test driving some Renault brand new car. However, if we were to ask these people questions during that phone call, like, hi, good morning, I'm so-and-so calling from Renault. I wanted to ask you, what kind of car do you drive? So then this person is picturing their own car and the fact that they've had it for a long time. How long have you had your car? I see. Have you ever tried a European car before? No, I haven't. I guess you, can you imagine the kinds of things that some other cars or local Malaysian cars might not have, and this car has this and that or the other. When you sit inside the car, you will feel like you are immersed in the seat because it's such a more comfortable seat and so on. What we are trying to do is get them to feel that they are already sitting inside a Renault in their mind, and then feeling the aircon and feeling the softness of the seat and feeling the comfort. So when they feel that, then we say, you want to come and try it? You want to come and sit in that seat? 9 out of 10, I shouldn't say 9 out of 10, about 7 out of 10, these people will want to come and test drive this car. So it all has to do with creating the right pictures in these people's minds. I'll give you another example. As you can see, obviously, I'm a sales trainer. So when I conduct sales training, and of course I did this sales training for Honda also, and of course Mitsubishi. So example is that our sales people would come into the car dealership. They would show them the car. Would you like to test drive? That's it. So at this time, the person can only see the car from outside. That's it. And the car dealer, who's the salesperson, who's quite friendly. But while the customer is walking from the entrance towards the car, that is the time when the salesperson needs to create pictures in the customer's mind about how great this car is and how they are going to feel so comfortable and so secure and so whatever the benefits or features are of this particular car. All right. So empathy is to understand that the customer needs a solution. Empathy also is to ask the customer right questions to lead them into wanting the solution. Empathy is also to understand the customer's current environment and situation, and then devising or preparing, developing our questions accordingly. So empathy, the definition of empathy that you guys have given me is 100% correct. We just want to make it go one step further and use it as a tool. You know, I mean, you know, a knife can be used to cut fruit, and it can also be used to you know, to commit crimes. So the tool, empathy as a tool, can be used in order to put people in a certain mindset of need, and through our questions. And empathy is also the tool to create pictures in people's minds, so that they would want to take our solution. So guys, empathy is one of the keys. With empathy, no one will ever accuse you of trying to push your product down anybody's throat. They will always say, very understanding salesperson, very informative salesperson, very committed salesperson towards the customer's feelings. And these are the rapport building tools that make the customer want to trust us, and then of course to buy from us. Now, I would like to move on to the next slide. I believe this particular slide will give you, of course, the next two slides. The first slide will give you a bad example of a telesales call, a bad example. And then after that, I will show you a good example of a telesales call. The bad example, I'm sure that once you see the example, you will probably know, because we've already been talking about creating pictures in people's minds in order to convince them. So let's look at the bad example first. Hang on. Failure example, selling dengue insurance through the phone. A few years ago, I'm sure everybody remembers that in Malaysia, I guess it was, I don't know, maybe only Malaysia or the whole world, the dengue fever was a big thing 2 to 3 years ago, about 4 years ago. And of course, I've always been a sales and telesales trainer. So this insurance company, I won't be naming their name, but this insurance company asked me to come in and train their people on how to sell dengue insurance, because they developed this product according to the demand of the nation, that, you know, people wanted to have some kind of insurance against dengue. So before the training, normally I go into a call center and listen to recorded calls. And so that I know, you know, what kind of, how these guys are currently selling. You know, it's a moment of truth. So once I listen to the calls, only then I will know what to stress on in the training program for these call center agents. So this gentleman, when I was listening to his call, this is what he did. Now, this is the dialogue he used. He says, we have, you know, good morning, we have dengue insurance available if you are interested. It is good to protect your family in case of medical expenses. Are you interested in the coverage? So this is what these people were saying. So now, and of course, not only that, then this person, after they say, yes, okay, sure, tell me, they would start telling them every single thing about the insurance policy, and also even the fine print, you know. This was, you know, the disclaimers. So this was actually putting people to sleep. And then of course I realized that these people are not creating pictures in the customers' minds in order to get them to feel the motivation to take the product. I mean, but basically what was happening was that they were imagining somebody in the family, you know, being protected against medical expenses. They're imagining these pictures at the bottom there, medical, debt, insurance company. This is the kind of pictures they are getting in their mind. So because of that reason, a lot of these people were not letting them continue to talk. Within the first 15 to 20 seconds, these people were having to hang up the phone. So, I mean, our call center agents, they were getting bombarded by all of these rejections because they were not creating all these pictures right there in the beginning of the phone call. So then once, of course, I saw this and the training program started, and I started conducting training, and I showed them how to create pictures in these people's minds. So then training ended, and I went back to the phones a couple of days later to listen to their recorded calls Now these recorded calls would be after the training in which I showed them how to use their communication skills, how to, what words and phrases to say, because, during the full session that I conduct, I will help them develop a dialogue, an actual script we developed during the training program. So anyway, when this person went back to phones, this is how he started selling. Now, just to give you a piece of information, this particular insurance company, this team that I trained, the month after the training, 1 month later, the 30-day report showed us a 27% increase in their sales. So imagine if they were selling 1 million a month, they were now selling 1,270,000 more. So how they were doing that is through creating the positive and worrisome pictures in these people's minds. Now, this is what how this gentleman now, after the training, started out selling this product, okay? Dengue insurance. The first thing he said, do you live, good morning, my name is so-and-so, I'm calling from da-da-da insurance company. I just have a couple of questions to see if, like that. And then went on, do you live close to a children's park or water pond or lake? I'm sure if you are familiar with dengue, you know that the dengue mosquito breeds in lakes or water power ponds or in parks, in plants, in construction sites. So these are the places where the dengue mosquito thrives. So our first question is to put these people in a need, the pain, the need picture. The fact that they live next to a pond or next to a park or automatically makes them or puts them in danger of being bitten by the dengue mosquito. So this is the first question that the salesperson asked them. Do you live close to a children's park or a water pond? Then, do you have plants at home, maybe in your garage or balcony? So now this person, bottom right-hand corner, you can see that picture. So this person is now imagining in his balcony all those plants. Now, we are slowly, during this phone call, and up until this point, we are bringing them to a certain state of mind. A state of mind which is making them feel that, oh my God, I need a solution. So this one is talking about the plants. This is just an example of a success that happened after, of course, we trained these insurance people. All right, then he went on and he started asking, are you married? Do you have any children? I guess the children play around the plants or in the garage. Very high risk of the children and yourself being bitten. Would you agree? So by this point, we have basically just brought this person in a worrisome state of mind. We are not trying to scare or manipulate this person into buying our product. What we are trying to do is to bring them home to reality that yes, they are at risk. Because if anybody was to answer these questions in negative manner, no, I don't live close to a park, I'm not married, I don't have any plants in my balcony and all of that. If we had that kind of a situation, that's fine, because we would already have a pre-planned dialogue to even counter that situation. And only then we increase the chances of selling. Of course, not every phone call converts into a sale. What we are trying to do, the objective of any kind of training in sales is to increase your chances of sales, chances of selling. If we dial, because we look at numbers, if we dial 100 numbers, out of 100 numbers, how many conversations were we able to have? And then out of those conversations, how many were we able to convert into sales? So that number is actually a percentage. So when we use this kind of a technique or a competency or capability to generate pictures in people's minds and motivate them to think about the problem they're going through and then think about how they would enjoy the solution, this will increase the percentage of conversion of sales or making the sales. All right, so this person has brought this customer into a certain mindset that, oh, I think I might need this insurance. All right, then once we've got this person into this mindset and the salesperson says, would you agree that your children might or yourself might be at risk of being bitten by the mosquito? And then of course, most of the time they will say, yeah, I agree, because they're next to the park and pond and plants. So then we go into our product. This is when we start creating pictures of how they will enjoy our product in order to overcome that pain that they are reliving right now. Of course, I said, so the dialogue, this particular salesperson, telesalesperson after the training, this is what he did. Of course, I suggest you use necessary precautions like removing all the plants or keep them dry at all times, but please get protected so you can get free treatment for dengue. So free treatment for dengue, when we say free treatment for dengue, this person is now imagining in his or her mind that they're actually with the doctor, they're getting the treatment done, and they don't have to pull out any money out of their pocket. When we did this, and then we of course tracked 30 days of sales in a team of about 20 odd people, and the increase in their sales was 27%. So I feel as though if I was to just simply make the phone call and tell them to buy dengue insurance versus doing it this way, I have a feeling that the success rate for anybody out there, not only this insurance company, anybody out there, the success rate would be much higher. All right, folks, I think I'd like to open up the chat box again. And I would like to have your comments this time. I'm not going to ask you a question. And if there are not many comments, then I will ask you questions to see how you feel about this particular way of selling products through the phone. So guys, please, I'm opening the chat box. Please go ahead and give me some comments. I'd like to read your comments now. How you feel about this particular technique. And of course, if you don't agree, please give me a statement that tells me that you don't agree. I'd be happy to talk about it further. Okay. Mariatol Hamid, give clear picture to customer. Yes. This definitely provides clear pictures to customers when we are able to use our words and phrases in a very articulate manner so that it creates pictures in people's minds. I hope that while I'm talking to you guys, while I'm conducting this small short webinar, I'm hoping that I'm also creating pictures in your minds about if you use this, how well you will perform. Okay, humanity touch with logic. Aisha Tan, yes, Aisha Tan binti Abdullah, absolutely. Erica says this technique is actually capturing opening clients' interest to the product you're offering. Absolutely, Erica from Philippines. Yes, this is opening up the people's minds. Cheng Ten Siu, okay, agreed with the example showed. Show them the problem statement. Self-realization, yes. Self-realization they potentially face. Probe for needs, create needs, provide our solutions plus our benefit. Yes, Mr. or Ms. Cheng, I'm sorry, I'm not able to see you. Thank you very much, very good. First step to create customer awareness to product offer, yes. That would be Mariatol. Christine Kolobong. It's not just transactional, but it's also personal to the customers and makes it more interesting for them. Absolutely. So I guess from these comments, I can see that you guys are looking at this as a viable, positive, effective tool in order to generate these leads or sales or whatever your objective for that particular call is. Yeah, it's not transactional. Transactional, I can tell you this, I have gone around, I have pretty much worked with approximately, I would say about 75 or 80 contact centers, 80 of them, 75 of them. If I was to look at the actual, maybe it'll be like 78. With all of them that I have gone in, before the training, they have been transactional based, you know. They have used, oh, it's 50% discount. This product, if you buy this coming 16th of the month, you will enjoy a 20% discount. So they are basically very transactional in their sales. However, what we are going to do, although all of my friends inside this webinar, we are going to develop a different kind of skill. We are going to go out of the box. We are not going to be transactional. Transactional does happen towards the end of the phone call. Yes, we will be talking about money and we will be talking about how they should pay and all that. But first, we are going to be those unique, caring salespeople who are going to help customers picture their situation and then help them want our product. Noor Elena says, give them alternate suggestions they can do also besides insurance. Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Ella says, what if the prospect not living close to lake, single, etc.? I just mentioned that earlier, that in case these prospects are not living close to the lake or are not married, we will have something else already prepared to say to them. Because if they're not living there, they're probably going somewhere that has this kind of situation. Maybe they work in an environment where they have to walk close to plants and walk next to a lake or what, you know, there are so many other things. Because when we developed this particular dialogue for this insurance company, we put this under consideration, that when people say, no, I'm not married, I don't have all of that lake and all, then we had another piece of dialogue that was already prepared. Like if we conduct this full training for your company, you would also, first of all, would have the original pictures that we would try to create in your customer's mind. And then if we get negative answers, you would then have other things to say, other questions to ask to continue. Single, but with parents, right? Well, that's also possible. Absolutely, Aisha. These are just very creative ideas. And different products have different questions. Doesn't have to be the same type of question. As long as our questions and statements and benefit statements, as long as they have, they are designed in such a way that they create pictures in people's minds. All right. Yes, absolutely. Single but parents, you know, that, or, you know, if they don't live close to a lake, maybe they work close to a lake. Maybe they are working in a construction site. Okay. Do you know how mosquito travel around? Yeah, absolutely, Cheng. All right, guys, let's go ahead and move forward and see what we actually learned. I will go ahead and minimize the chat box now. So we should go ahead and continue. All right, here we go. The next, the thing is what whatever I showed you just now about creating pictures in these people's minds actually has a certain flow. In other words, the phone call would have a flow that you would use. First this, then this, then this, then this, like that, like in process mapping, you know, it's like process mapping, we call it a process flow. First, we ask them a question. And that question has to do with understanding what their situation is. And then another question which leads them to create a picture of their problem. Once we have taken them there, like in the case of the dengue insurance, you notice that we asked them a couple of, or 2 or 3 questions to bring them to the fact that they live close to a lake, or that their child is playing in the park and so on. So that's the problem. Then we create a picture of the solution in their mind. That's the next step. So when we create a picture of the solution in their mind, then they can start imagining, you know, using your product and enjoying those savings, or enjoying that peace of mind, or relaxation, or convenience, or whatever benefit that your product provides. So we remind them of how they feel using our solution. Once we do that, and if our words are able to create the right pictures, the customer actually feels a win, you know, an emotional win. In other words, they have a certain feeling. I don't know if you guys know this, but back when I was learning how to sell, my sales trainer told me that if you want to go and sell something to somebody, make sure they have a sweet taste in their mouth. So I was like, okay, how does that help, you know? So what I did was, a couple of times I would, you know, go into people's houses to try to sell some things, you know, for some other jobs. I would take a bar of chocolate with me. And I would say, hey, I brought you a gift, but I insist, please go ahead and take a bite. And then, you know, we will start talking. You would be surprised that once I bring them into a certain mental state of the pleasure of the sweetness of the chocolate, and then I start talking about my product and creating those pictures in their minds, the sales go through the roof. This is crazy, but it's true. The moment people start feeling an emotional win, the moment they feel that emotional win is what? Happiness. Emotional win is relaxation, peace of mind. You know, these are emotional wins. The moment we are able to help them get an emotional win, we have a very high chance of getting a sale. Now, through the positive pictures, we help the customers reach an emotional state that resembles relaxation, peace of mind, sense of relief, happiness, etc. We call this emotional selling. So ultimately, the technique that I normally use in any of my full training sessions, actual 1 day or 2 day training sessions, is where I help my trainee salespeople to create a combination between the consultative approach and also motivation and convincing through creating pictures in people's minds. So imagine consultative approach. Consultative approach is just like a doctor. You know, if a doctor asks you how you feel, you say, I have a headache. If it's a bad doctor, this doctor will prescribe Panadol to you right away. If it's a good doctor, this doctor is going to ask you, oh, you have a headache. I'm sorry to hear that. How's your back? Do you have any history of back problems? How's your stress level? Are you feeling a little bit of stress? Any problems at work? So what's going to happen is that this doctor is now creating pictures in in his patient's mind, take them back into those situations so that the patient would want to share the correct knowledge with the doctor. So instead of just prescribing Panadol, the doctor might prescribe stress relief medicine, or maybe lower back pain medicine, or neck pain medicine, or neck relief, so that the headache doesn't occur. So these are basically the techniques of being consultative and at the same time creating pictures in people's minds. All right. Now, if we look towards the bottom of this slide, I've got a few key aspects, and once we read this, then we can move forward. What customer problem does your product solve? So now, if you are thinking of, after this webinar, if you're thinking of sitting down and trying to enjoy the value that you got from this particular webinar, this is what you would want to do. You would want to sit down and write down what customer problem does your product solve. You need to write that down. So in other words, the problem. So then when you put down the problem on a piece of paper, then I want you to imagine that problem. And imagine, because of that problem, what kinds of feelings or what kinds of episodes or actions that is the customer might the customer be taking. So you picture that. So once you picture that, then you create a question from that picture. And I can guarantee you that the question that you create for the customer according to that picture is going to make the customer open their eyes like that. Oh my God, this person cares about me. So this is what needs to happen. And normally we do this during our training session under my guidance. So everybody who develops their dialogue, I'm able to proofread it and then give them suggestions and then move on. And then, you know, first we use the openings, we start the, you know, creating an opening statement, and then so that we can survive the first 20 seconds of the phone call. Then we create the right problem statements. We create the right pictures to relive, to help customers relive. And then, of course, we move on with creating the benefit statements, which also create pictures in people's minds. Then the next one, how can you help the customer picture the problem during your conversation? Picture the problem and also, you know, concerned, or generate a concerned emotion about the problem. So this is something, once we have put the picture down on paper, we will just analyze it, picture it ourselves in our mind, and then start writing statements and questions that create that picture, like a description of that picture in your mind. How can you help him or her picture having your solution? Help the customer, I mean, having your solution and generate a positive feeling of enjoyment, while they're using your service. When we are able to do this particular homework, this is actually the homework. Like if I was to, let's say I need to start making phone calls tomorrow and generate leads, or invite people for test drives, or invite people to attend a training program and so on. So what I would need to do is just basically sit down and follow this process. What problem am I solving for the customer? Write down the problem. Think of the picture. How am I going to help the customer overcome this problem? Write down the solution. Create that picture through words. Then include that inside your dialogue. Okay, so now I'm just going to go ahead and open the Zoom chat again and see if you guys have any comments on this, or better yet, I would probably want to take maybe a question or two that you might have about this, because I just showed you what you might want to do after this webinar is over if you are ready to go and make phone calls, let's say tomorrow. So any questions or any comments that you guys have, I'm ready for them now. I'll give it about a minute. Okay, I guess until now I don't see any question about that. It seems that you guys might have an understanding of what's going on here. I can just very simply reiterate. In other words, I'm going to say it again, that the best thing to do for any kind of sales or telesales environment is to, first of all, of course, survive the first 20 seconds of the phone call. And that's something I show normally in my training program, how to go about doing that. Survive the first 20 seconds so you can move on and actually have a conversation. But then if you have a pen and paper, just write this down. I need to create a combination between a combination of consultative approach and motivating customers to want my solution through pictures in their mind, using my words and phrases. This is basically the way. So then once this way is understood, then we can spend a whole day understanding how to implement this way in a phone call. All right, moving forward. Let's look at the required skills and capabilities to grow revenue through the phone. Required skills and capabilities. I think I'm going to go back and not show this slide yet. Okay, now I'm going to ask you guys a question. I think for this one, you will have to reply to me because I'm going to ask you, in your opinion, from what we have done until now in this webinar, in your opinion, what are the required skills or capabilities that you should have? So now I'm not going to move forward unless I have some responses here. What capabilities and skills you feel we need now in order to be successful or world-class in our telesales responsibility? And you can think about what we have talked about in the last few minutes, and you can give me your answer. What skills, behaviors do we need in order to be successful in telesales? Waiting for your answers, guys. Okay, Jenny Tan, communication skills, positive and concern for customer. Emily, listening skills, absolutely. Getting the client to listen and respond, create their engagement, yes. Two-way, active in probing, yes. Listening skills, communication, knowledge of control of customers, yes, absolutely. Active listening, questioning, empathy. Mr. Cheng, Noralina, empathy, product, knowledge of product, understanding your client's needs. Yes, these are basically the skills. And if anybody follows this, all of these skills that you guys are mentioning now, if anyone actually follows these, address customer emotional needs, Chu, Shi, Xuan. Okay, absolutely, address customers' emotional needs, that's the way. Bonding, Mohammad Hafiz said bonding. If we were to actually use all of this in the back of our mind and then have a conversation with the customer, we will not feel that we are getting so many rejections. Rejections are a part of sales. Rejections do happen. Not every call converts into a sale. Even the top salespeople in the world are not 100% in their conversion ratio. So everyone in sales who wants to become successful actually develops a sense of empathy. And then of course, product knowledge is key. And of course, addressing only the customer's need. Our dialogue needs to revolve around the customer. We must not talk very proudly about our product. We are a Fortune 500 company. We have 20 research and development units all over the world. We have this, we have that. All that is just basically customers thinking, good for you. What's in it for me? So we need to answer that question. What's in it for me? So if we're going to do that, we will have to have a sense of empathy. We will have to understand. And a lot of that has to do with preparing for the call. Pre-call preparation. Like, if you're a salesperson going out and making presentations to customers, this is what you do, isn't it? Before you go, you're at your desk, you are preparing. You went to Google and you did some research about this company that you are going to see. You also went through your presentation slides. You just basically prepared. This is the same thing we would want to do if we're going to pick up the phone and dial the next number. I want to know who I'm calling. I also want to know what kind of situation this person is in, which means that my database needs to have some serious columns, elements of the customer's situation that I already have an idea of, so that I know what kinds of empathic questions I need to ask, and of course, what product statement would create the right picture in this particular person's mind. Like if I'm selling, let's say a medication for diabetes, and I'm calling somebody, I don't want to call somebody who has high blood pressure. I want to make sure I call somebody who has diabetes. I'm sure you guys would agree. And this has to do with the consultative approach, the empathic approach, because once you have somebody has diabetes and we know they have diabetes and we know what pain of diabetes our product overcomes, then we can start asking them questions. How do you feel about taking a pill versus injecting yourself? Would you like to avoid injecting yourself? Would you like to reduce the amount of pain you have when you inject yourself before your meal? So they would say, yeah, of course it hurts. I want to reduce the amount of pain. Well, this particular injection unit that we have, you can hear the click, but you cannot feel the pain. That kind of thing. So the customer knows, oh, the pain I feel every day, if I buy this one, I will not feel that pain anymore. That's the consultative emotional approach. And that's what creates the sale. Okay, all right, so now let's go ahead and move forward. Thank you very much for your answers to my question. And now let's see what I have in terms of the skills that are required. The first thing is, of course, let's say if you're calling somebody in their office, obviously, maybe their secretary or their colleague or somebody might answer the phone. And a lot of times these people want to know what is it regarding. So during the training program, the full training that I conduct, we will be developing dialogue that tells them what it is regarding, and basically we are able to move past this gatekeeper or the secretary. A lot of secretaries, they've been working for these bosses for 20, 25 years. So they feel like the boss is, a family member or something. So they need to protect them against people like us who want to call them and tell them benefits of our product. So we, on the other hand, when we are dealing with this gatekeeper or secretary, we are not going to try to sell this secretary our product. We are going to put ourselves in the position of the secretary and create pictures in the secretary's mind to convince the secretary to connect us to the boss. So this one is not selling the product to the secretary, but selling the idea of letting us connect to the boss. That's the sales pitch we need to have for the secretary. Anyway, and then once we are connected to the right person, we need to survive the first 20 seconds of the phone call. Most inexperienced telesales calls end within the first 20 seconds of the call. Because they say, I'm calling from this company. I'd like to tell you a little bit about this. Oh, this product, I don't need it. Thank you very much. And then they hang up the phone. So before you have even have a chance, your beginning was so lousy that the customer doesn't want to talk to you. However, of course, during our training session, this is one of the skills and capabilities that I help our people develop. Hang on just a moment, guys. Give me just a moment. I need to plug in something. Hold on. Okay, I'm back. So now looking at the next one, upsell and cross-sell other products. This is another skill that is required. A lot of times, you're talking about one product, and then while you're talking to the customer, it seems like there is another product that you have which also might be suitable for this person. Or maybe you tried to sell them a product and they didn't want that product, but you still have them on the phone. So, and plus the fact that you have created some pictures in their minds and they feel that they are, comfortable talking to you. So in that case, just go ahead and try to cross-sell other products. And if they've already bought your product over the phone, you can even upsell by asking a couple of other questions. And that is another skill that we will develop, that we normally develop in our, full training sessions. Definitely, you guys mentioned the questioning skills and the listening skills. These are definitely important skills that we need to have in order to survive in this this particular field. Identify customers' real emotions, needs, and match with appropriate benefits. So if a diabetes patient doesn't have much other issues, but they do feel that it's very painful with that injection, so we home in on that only. We'll just say, oh, you've that pain. With this one, you won't feel the pain. You'll just hear the click. And when you hear the click, the thing is already injected in your body. No pain at all like that. So we are focusing specifically on that particular emotional need. Then we sharpen our closing skills in order to clinch the sale, handle objections, build better relationships with difficult customers. A lot of times customers will get angry over the phone. We have no choice. We cannot control their emotions before we call them, but we can control their emotions during the phone call. And there is a way to do that. We can show that. We do show that how. We recognize personalities over the phone. We seek buying signals. I'd like to go ahead and open the chat window again. I want to know in terms of your level of understanding of what a buying signal is. Can anyone tell me, in your opinion, during the conversation, what would a customer tell us or say to us, or how would a customer react that tells us that this is a buying signal? Can anyone tell me? What is a buying signal? I need to know from you, what is a buying signal? Customer asking the price, customer asking a question. If they start to ask more questions, customer asking questions, customer show interest by asking questions. Absolutely, guys, absolutely. When they ask more info, exactly. Hang on. Basically, when you say to the customer, suppose, absolutely, you guys are absolutely right. You have answered my question correctly. Start listening. If the customer tells you, okay, tell me more. If the customer wants to listen more to you, yes, that's also a buying signal. If a customer says this, in the way that I'm about to say it, this is a buying signal, all right? If you are saying, and we also provide this one and you will enjoy benefit A, B, and C. And the customer says, oh, really? Benefit A also? If the customer says that, that's a buying signal. So the skill is, the technique is that the moment you get a buying signal, you forget about all the other features and benefits or anything else you were about to say to the customer about your product. You focus specifically on that buying signal. If I say, not only are your salespeople going to be able to increase their sales with a very high percentage, they will also feel motivated to sell. And the customer says, oh, they also feel motivated. Then I will just simply focus on the motivational aspect, because I told him 2 benefits and he chose one of them and said, oh, really? You do that also happens. So then I say, yes, sir, because during the training program, we have we create a certain mindset, a certain ambience, a certain type of environment in the class where it's all laughter and happiness and joy. And then when they learn skills, and then when they do their role plays, there's tons and tons of clapping and acknowledgement. So we start going into that kind of direction to explain to the customer that they need to put their people through our training program so that their people will feel the motivation to go and go and sell. And how it started? Just by the customer saying, oh, really? They also feel motivated like that. So that was the buying signal. And in your product environment, I am sure all of you have experienced customers buying signals. And you in your own industry would have to know, what do our customers say, or what are the reactions, some of the reactions that our customers give us that tell us that this is a buying signal. So you guys, the most successful salespeople in the world are ones that are very careful about listening to the customer. The active listening to understand, instead of listening to prepare our answers about how we are going to reply. Because once a buying signal comes and you didn't get it, you didn't absorb it or acknowledge it in your mind, and you didn't respond to it, you just lost an opportunity to close the sale. That's how important these buying signals are. I will be going into a lot more detail about buying signals. Right now, I only have a few minutes with you guys. So I'm just trying to go into a more of an awareness type of situation and giving you some overview and the requirements that to become successful in this telesales. However, of course, the full session is different. It gives you actual words. A lot of times I will ask you to list down, make a list of all the buying signals that you until now have experienced, or and also another list where you anticipate other buying signals that you haven't received yet. Anyway, and of course, another capability or a skill that you require is to be able to develop the right words, the right phrases, the right questions to ask the customer during your phone call. Because that skill, and then of course practicing with the customer, with your colleagues, because that is the skill that will really help you be prepared in order to say the right things. Chun Sang Anthony, question, how do we reduce rejection from customer who have poor product service experience previously? Well, I would like to answer this question, but the issue is that the answer to this question then becomes training. And that answer to this question, I will be able to give in a full training session, because this one is all of a sudden moving into the copyright aspect of our training program. But yes, absolutely. If you attend the full session, yes, the answer to this one and maybe another one whole ton of other questions, I will be happy to answer and give you specific answers, which would also help you with, write down the answer so you can use it the next time somebody says that they have had poor experience. I'll give you an example. When I train insurance companies, one of the things that their customers say is, I had bad experience with the claims department. Last time when I claimed for my insurance, it took me almost 1 month and you guys promised me only 1 week turnaround time. So very bad experience, like that. So we are able to develop rebuttals. In other words, responses to all of these customer objections and concerns. I would love to be able to answer this question. However, I would love to answer this question during our full training session. Okay, all right. If you guys don't mind, let's go ahead and move a bit further. Let's say, now that we've thought about developing the script and dialogue, because these are the right words and phrases and questions we need to develop. This particular slide is basically a snapshot of requirements to become an expert in telesales. And you know what? Even if you are not selling products through the phone, you read this list, you will find that all of this is also beneficial for anybody who's out there making sales. So it's not only for telesales, it's for field salespeople also. Even surviving the first 20 seconds of a sales presentation, that's also something very important, because we start off our presentations in such a way that the customers become interested in what we are saying. All right, moving forward, I just want to give you a quick rundown of the flow of a telesales phone call. This is just the flow, and I think this will probably be my last slide. So we start the phone call, just a quick flow. Huh? We greet the person and then we introduce ourselves. Then we tell them the purpose of the call. If you notice, greeting and introduction over the right-hand side with a strong, energetic voice. The purpose of call and time acknowledgement. Time acknowledgement basically means, I'd like to talk to you about this. Do you have a minute to talk to me about that? Or I'd like to ask you a couple of questions. Do you have a minute to answer some of my questions for me? So basically, the beginning of the phone call, this is actually the first 20 seconds of the phone call. So during the first 20 seconds, we try to create interest so that this person wants to continue to talk to us. Once we've got that out of the way, then we ask them the empathic probing questions to put them in a certain situation in their mind so that they want our product. And then when they answer to our questions, we acknowledge with them. We tell them, yes, I understand. In other words, if they say, yeah, I do live next to a lake. Oh, I see, you do live next to a lake. So it's just basically acknowledging the customer's need. Whatever they said, I'm acknowledging it. And then, of course, matching the need through benefit statements. Matching the needs through benefit statements ultimately has to do with not just telling them about the benefits. This is the part where we create those pictures in the customer's mind about how they will enjoy those benefits. And then testing the water. Testing the water means, testing the water is not a closing question. Testing the water is just basically to see if the customer up until this point agrees that your benefits will actually, make life easier for them. And then of course, closing question and then gaining commitment. So this is actually the flow of a telesales call. And during the full session, we will look at this flow, and then together with you guys, we will inject specific, convincing, persuasive questions and statements, so that this whole flow of the telesales call is full of positive and negative state of mind that we were able to create in the customer. All right. Now, this actually brings me to the pseudo end of the awareness session. And I just want to go ahead and share this next final slide with you. This full day training session, I'm not sure, Sue, is this going to be on the 13th of May?
Yes, it's on the 13th, yeah.
13th of May, okay. Now, this particular training session is going to include interactive customer communication through the phone, active listening, using your voice, because, we need to use our voice in order to create certain sensations also. Like if I was to use the high pitch, I can create a sense of urgency. If I was to create low pitch, I can create a sense of relaxation. So these are the things, of course, I will be showing you in the training session. Of course, we will also be talking about probing skills for asking the right questions, and of course, empathy and how to create empathic statements and empathic questions. And of course, we will develop the dialogue. This particular set of skills is going to actually turn you into selling machines, I have had responses from my previous clients where they have actually said, Shahrukh, you have turned my people into selling machines. And because they started running out of database, because they have just pretty much sold to as many of them who could have bought. So this is what basically what we need to learn in order to be able to sell at that rate. Okay, now this session, if I understand correctly, normally it's about 1,290 ringgit to attend this session, Malaysian ringgit. I'm talking because we have some international participants also, so I'm saying in Malaysian ringgit. And then that's a normal fee that I normally charge now. But then because you guys have attended this particular awareness webinar, so iTraining Expert is offering you approximately a little bit more than 50% discount. If you want to register for this, you can pay 800 ringgit and register for this May 13 session, which will actually turn you into selling machines. And then something very crazy is that if you decide to register for this May 13 session within the next 24 hours, if you do that, then all you have to do is just pay 399 ringgit, 400 bucks. That's like, I would say almost 75% discount. You don't have to pay SST, it's included in that. So anyway, over to the right-hand side, you can see the financial logic behind attending this program. On the left-hand side, you will see the logic behind the skills and behaviors and attitudes and the skill of convincing and persuasiveness for the customer. All right, guys, this brings me to the end of this particular webinar. I will go ahead and open the chat box again. Please, by all means, I'm here for the next few minutes. Ask me questions, give me comments so that I can respond to you.
Thank you so much, Shahrukh, for sharing. If you'd like to have more information on this course, the link is there. We can also send you an email on this. You can bring in your people and start turning them into selling machines. All right? Which is good. Retrain your people to be selling machines. That's why the successful people are always successful, because they're always retraining their people. Thank you very much for coming. If you like this session, please put a comment down for Shahrukh to give him a hand clap or give him some positive encouragement for his hard work. He spent an hour and a half teaching you all that he can within this time. I hope that this is really fruitful for you. If you have gained something, tell us what you like. All right, if there are any questions, if there's no questions, we can end this very soon. Thank you very much for coming. I hope you had a fruitful session. I'm sure you have learned a lot during this an hour and a half. So it's back to implementation. Go back, you can implement it and start using it and tell us what your feedback are. Because a lot of people have been successful when they actually do pay consultancy fees Shahrukh to do and improve and fine-tune the way they do telephone skills. So this is excellent. A lot of people are thanking you.
Yes,
Shahrukh.
I'm reading it. Everybody, you're most welcome. You're most welcome. Just make sure that you don't forget these skills. Please quote Renault for this topic and TeleDebt. So, Sue, I guess you read this from Aisha.
Yeah, they have been very participative, which is excellent.
Darshini Chandran said, wonderful training session. Thank you very much, Darshini. I appreciate your comment. You guys are all thanking me. Dino, David, thank you very much, Mr. Shahrukh. Yes, you're most welcome. Zuliana, you're most welcome. Thanks for calling it a good session. I really appreciate that. And if you come and hang out with me for one full day, you're going to go nuts because we end up, you know, at the end, everybody becomes friends and I get bombarded with friend requests on Facebook. And, you know, I'm happy to. Thank you from Ankasa Residences, Port Dickson. Okay, you're most welcome, Shai Sinclair. Grace Kalima said, very informative. Thank you. You're most welcome, Grace. Vicheng, you're most welcome. Awesome training, Mr. Shahrukh. Thank you very much. Aisha says, thank you so much. Hope to hear from you soon. Nurul says, thank you. Yeah, okay, that from Ankasa. Please drop us an email. Oh, that would be Sue.
All right, we actually recorded this session and it's going to be in Facebook Live. Actually, it's live on iTraining Expert. You can go to iTraining Expert. You can see yourself there and your questions. Phenomenal session.
Ah, so she was talking about me.
Handsome Shahrukh, okay.
Phenomenal session. Thank you, handsome Shahrukh. Thank you very much. And this is just the face you're looking at. No, just kidding. Okay, thank you so much from Uda Mall. Very empowering talk. Thank you, Felicia. You're most welcome. Absolutely. Happy to, and, you know, hope to have a continuous, you know, environment where we can be in discussions a lot more. Can we have a copy of the slides? That is up to Suboy.
Come for the training. Come for the training. You have all the slides together with the scripts and together with a well-equipped a team of people who are selling machines.
Sue, you already caught on the selling machine thing.
Yeah. You're making our back-end people crazy because they are every day selling and they're calling. I almost forgot that today our training is at 11, you know. I thought it's at 3 o'clock.
Yeah, Sue, can you imagine? I mean,
okay, so
right.
I'll see you guys 30 May. Sign up for the course, Telesales, and come and bring your friends and bring your colleagues and bring your department people, yeah? All right,
everyone.
We also have other trainings coming in. So thank you very much for, I hope you like it. We have been doing this various times in iTraining. We hope to give as much value as possible to everyone. So keep coming back and tell us what you like. We will be of service to you as much as possible. Thank you, Hafiz.
Stay safe, everyone.
Be safe. Exactly. Okay. We have to stay very safe. Okay.
Okay, bye-bye.
Thank you for coming.
You're welcome, Job Street.
Bye.
Okay, bye-bye.
Thank you, bye.
Thank you so much.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye. Thank you very much.
Bye. Thank you. You have a good time.
Happy fasting.
Happy fasting, oh yeah. Who is not fasting? What do you end this thing?
I'm not fasting. I notice Anand is with us still. Anand Tanalingam. Jenny Tan, Chun Sang, Noor Haslina. Usha Ramasamy. Okay, guys, I'll see you. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye. Thank you. Thank you, Anthony. Anthony, where are you from? Huh? And the team.